Hello everyone, welcome back to Chris's Granite Paradise and episode 2 of our series on sand processing. In this case, we're talking about those 2 bags of sand we collected on site in the last video. Remember, we labeled them light and dark. I've concluded that they're about the same as each other. I don't think there's enough difference to make it worth processing them separately, so I'm going to combine them. In this video, my goal is to finish washing them, because remember, the one bag never got washed. It got late on us and I just brought it home like that. So I need to wash the sand, and then we are going to do today, my goal is to finish the water separation. I'm hoping to get 2 results: the heavy metallic heavy stuff that'll settle on the bottom, and the lighter stuff that'll settle on top. And I'm hoping to have a 3rd tray over here that'll be for the mica, because I noticed the sand has a lot of mica. So stick with us today. This will be some fun processing going on here. Before we get into the heart of this video and the processing, I want to give you guys a really quick look ahead into the future of our video series. So this is just a portion of my sand collection, and I brought a few select samples out here to show you guys what we're up to, what we're trying to achieve. So long story short, when it comes to sands, scientists talk about immature sands and mature sands. So a mature sand means it's a sand that's been around long enough for the elements to complete their work. Basically everything except quartz has been removed. This is sand from the desert near Moab, Utah. You can see it's exclusively one color, one grain size. They're actually tiny little spheres almost of red quartz. Here's a similar sand from St. Augustine, Florida, just a white quartz sand. Sands that are more recent, geologically speaking, still have different minerals in them, and some of them separate even just pouring it into the bottle. You can see this is from a beach in California. I believe it was Pacific Beach. Just a side note for you who collect sand, label the bottles on the outside, but also write on a little piece of paper and fold it up and put it inside the bottle, because these labels, see, they just fall right off after a couple years. Actually, these have been in my shed probably for 15 years or 10. So you want to label them inside as well, because the labels fail after a while. Anyway, so the sand in the Cache La Poudre River, these have all been separated already. I've called this the dark, which is what I was trying to achieve yesterday. This is garnet. This is what I have it labeled as low grade magnetite, which means it sticks to the magnet kind of in a bushy pattern and barely sticks. And then there's the high grade magnetite. They look almost the same, but evidently there's a slight difference in the minerals. Anyway, these are all subjects we'll do future videos about. But what we're doing here in the separation of this sand, this is the process we're going to be doing in this video to arrive at those 3 trays right there. So I'll give you a look ahead. But we're separating light minerals from dark, and I have an extensive collection, but I must confess I collected the minerals I was interested in and threw the rest away. So for example, I got some sand on a rock hunting trip that we did near a mine. Oh, look at the mica floating away. But this is just a golden biotite mica. I separated this out by the water method that we're doing in this video. These, I worked in the granite shop, and I would run the router, and we ran the saws and stuff. And so the mud on the floor, I would see these purple streaks of a particular granite. Here's a sample of what we call Venetian gold light. There's various versions of this, but they're all a granite that's rich in garnets. And if you look on the edge here, you can see the biotite mica. And so using the water method that I'm showing you in this video, I separated out the garnet and the biotite mica. Unfortunately, I threw the quartz away. I wish I would have saved it, but there was also a white component that wasn't very interesting, and so I didn't keep it. But this jar, it's like bubblegum pink when it's wet. In fact, I have the spray bottle here. Let's wet this a little bit. Sort of pink and sparkly. So this isn't your purple garnet, because remember, this is produced by diamond bits. So it's not rounded sand grains. These are like glass shards. And so they have a little bit different appearance to them than, of course, the mica. So I would scoop up the mud from the floor, swirl it in the bucket like I'm showing you, scrape the mica off the top, separated the garnet and the quartz, and kept the pinker side, which is what I'm calling garnet here. Very heavy, by the way. So interesting. Anyway, I just thought you guys would like a look ahead. I have lots of sand, so we will be doing more of this. And here's the goal of this video, is to arrive at these 3 trays. So let's go back to the body of the video and we'll have a good time. So to recap, for those of you just joining us, years ago I used to do a lot of sand processing. I would collect different sands, process them with water, and then also I have dry methods, which I'll be showing you guys later. And today I'm reviving this. It's been quite a few years since I've done it. Let me go over my equipment. So these are the drying trays. After we do what we're going to do today of separating the sand by use of swirling it in water and letting it slowly settle out, then I'll try to separate it. We'll have dark, light, and maybe the mica here. And I need to leave them in the sun for a few days to dry good, because we can't do the dry processing until they're completely dry. And we have cats in the neighborhood. So I have found that closing the trays in here keeps the cats out, because cats love nice clean sand for their litter boxes. And here I have the bucket of water. I'll probably need another bucket of water because the sand's pretty dirty. A little spare water here. Shower curtain here so that I can cover this in the event of rain. So let me get set up and we'll get the sand washed. So for those of you just joining us, to wash the sand, I put the sand in the water. Duh. And then we swirl it around and then slowly let it settle. And it'll probably take a few times. I will not record all of it. I will spare you, since we saw that in the last video. Yeah, this is really dirty, as you can see. And you gotta roll up the sleeves all the way. Ideally, I like about at least half of the bucket to be full. And then the process seems to work a little better. If you have too little sand, it doesn't work. And if you have too much sand, you can't get it suspended, because it needs to be suspended. See, right now, I can feel the bottom of the bucket. All of that sand is in solution. It's moving around in the water. Then, just to recap, I tap on it as I let the sand settle, because that helps the water come out of the sand. Tapping the belly and rubbing the forehead, or however that joke goes. See, now the sand feels nice and hard on the bottom of the bucket, because the vibration causes it to liquefy and makes all the water come out of it. And then we'll just water the grass. See, now that it's settled really hard, I can't get it off the bottom. I got to use the spoon to loosen it up again. Yeah, I keep running out of water, so I've got 2 containers of water here now. I think we're ready to do the separation. The sand's still a little, the water comes out a little cloudy, but that's okay. We just don't want it being dusty, you know, when we work with the sand later. So we'll get the bucket about full. And now I'm gonna pay more attention to how I'll get it all suspended in solution, and at a certain speed the magnetite and garnets will settle out. And I don't know what that speed is. We don't really, I mean, in a bucket it's kind of hard to get too exact. So the only way I can think of to do it is get it all suspended in solution, swirling fast, and then very slowly slow down, so that hopefully there's a minute or so when only heavy material is settling out, then another minute or so when maybe quartz and feldspar are settling out, and then hopefully at the end the mica will settle out and we'll have nice distinct layers as we dig through it. So here we go. Again, it's hard to get it going. Once it's settled, it's like concrete because of the tapping I do, because I don't want the sand to pour out when I dump the water out. We talked about some of this in the last video, but in case you're new, it never hurts to go over it again. Trick is to not make waves, because it'll all pour out of the bucket as you're seeing. You want a nice smooth motion. Now it's all suspended. I'm gonna slowly start letting her settle. You will see that I also gradually pull my arm out so that I'm not disturbing the current down at the bottom. We want as smooth of a swirl as we can. I'm saving this water in case I'm not happy with the results. If I let it settle too fast and I did not get a good separation, I'll need to do it again. We're trying to get the last little bit of water out. The drier it is, the easier we'll be able to see the results. Oh yeah. I want you guys to see what I was talking about, the mica settling out since the sun is shining. Hope you can appreciate that. That's all mica. So now what I'm going to do is with the spoon carefully scrape down until I see a change in what's deposited. And hopefully I didn't let it settle too fast. I'm hoping this does it. So I'm assuming what I'm gonna have least of is the mica. So I'm gonna scoop the mica out and put it on this tray for drying. This other water, I'm gonna hold on to it just in case. Yeah, it's looking to me like most of the mica is in like the top ½ inch or so. Beyond that, we'll be able to separate it with the dry methods. The mica has a certain feel to it. It almost feels like you're digging through mud. And then when you get past the mica layer, it starts to sound grainy, and that's when you know you're back into probably quartz and things of that nature. Now I'm going to scoop out what I consider the light sand, and hopefully we'll see black at the bottom, or dark. There's still some mica in here, but it's not quite as dense. So this is what I'm considering to be mostly the lighter materials. Again, we'll get it refined with the dry methods. But note the amount of sparkle of the mica in here. There isn't that much compared to this. I hope that shows in the video. I'm not sure if you can see how much mica is in here compared to in here. It's a noticeable difference. And then in here, really I should swirl this one more time because I see little streaks of really dark stuff, but there's also a lot of lighter stuff mixed in. Let me see if I dig a little further what we find. Okay, so I do see it's kind of concentrated, but not as much as I like. So I'm gonna swirl this little bit again and try to get a good dark layer on the bottom. That's what we're trying to achieve. This is exactly how I remember this being. It's a lot of work, but check this out. So you can see there's a layer of mica, very thin. I just scraped the top there, and you can kind of see where the mica ends. Let's keep digging and see what we find out. Okay, so I scraped a little more mica off. I put it in the tray over there with the mica. Now I'm going to scrape until I see black, hopefully. Okay, so it looks noticeably darker. I'm going to go ahead and call that the dark, and we're going to get these set to dry. And I think when they're dry, you'll see, especially the mica will look a little different. And then we will proceed to remove the garnet and the magnetite. If we can remove the mica, the garnet, and the magnetite, pretty much the rest is easy. So this is an interesting observation I'm making here. You know what? Now I don't remember. I think this is the heaviest. It's kind of dark, a little less mica. Yeah, I think this is the heaviest. Now I don't remember. We'll know when they're dry. But what's interesting is that the mica tray appears darkest to the look. It's definitely darker than those other two. Not because it's heavy material, but because mica, remember, is like transparent sheets of plastic. So this is interesting. I collected sand years ago in the canyon, and it didn't have as much mica, and it had a lot more garnet and magnetite. And I'm wondering if this is going to be the opposite, where since we're kind of on flatter ground, there's not as much of the garnet and magnetite, even though it looked like there was when we were digging up there at the river. So I'm going to put these in the tray, and we're going to let them dry, and that will lead us into the next video. Remember, I put them in the tray to keep the cats out, because cats have ruined my sand many times. Thanks so much for joining me. On the next video, we will look at these dry and go from there in our process of separation. God bless you guys. Please leave your comments. If you've done any of this before, let me know. I'd be curious to know what kind of minerals you found in your local sand. Please like, share, and subscribe if you have not already.